This book has been written for the men who love their women, and for the women who love their men and themselves. Vadim Shulman, M.D., CIS, Professor OCRM. Chapter 1, Sexual Attractiveness. 1. Love is drug. In our human heritage we can find a great number of composed songs and written novels about love. We are not going to review now the common knowledge so beautifully described by poets and novel writers. What we are interested in is the very fact of sexual drive, what causes it and which factors it depends upon. Because the mutual attraction of one sex to another lays foundation of forming a new relationship and arriving progeny. This attraction, the people call it just love, bears all the features of a state, which appears after intake of drug, and may be fully characterized as drug addiction. Love is a drug, say cocaine, so it gives rise to the same predilection. This fact has been proved in the research carried out by Dr. John Marsden, head of the London National Centre for Investigation into Drug Addiction, and demonstrated in the BBC-produced documentary. Having parted with the loved one, we suffer, and the feeling is much akin to the post-intake abstinence. Dr. John Marsden explained that the brain of a person who is powerfully attracted to opposite sex secretes dopamine, a narcotic-like substance. The process is followed by corresponding physiological changes. Having a desired person close by, the pulse rate of the other party kicks up 3 times the normal, the blood rushes not only to sex organs and the brain, but also to the cheeks and lips. Thus, poets and writers gain much-needed inspiration and the love-stricken ones just get embellished. Being addicted to the dopamine-induced workup but deprived of the possibility to contact the second half, he or she suffers from acute pains. Dopamine affects all but temporarily, like drugs, like love. According to Dr. Marsden, love explosion lasts from 3 to 7 years, after which period the brain tapers off production of dopamine in honor of the given partner. These figures correlate with the statistics data on the divorce rate in early stages of marriages. The scientist thinks that love is a sophisticated trap made up by nature to lure the two into having conjugal life as long as their offspring become relatively independent and not seeking protection from the parents. In case of human beings, this period gets much elongated due to the social reasons as well as the culture of behavior. 2. The white magic and the black magic. The issue of love witchery dates back into deep centuries and in all times has been about 2 essential undertakings: bewitching, training, conjuring up a love filter, and infusing aversion. Our ancestors created a lot of tricks how to inflame the heart, to work up love, to bore somebody to death, to separate and even to nip affection in the bud. The hoary antiquity also presented us with well-suited methods. Sexual smells, charming glare, beverages, potions, spells, stealthily placed enchanted objects, sorcery over footsteps and over hair of the chosen one. You name it, they got it. Love witchery, as any other, likewise, traditionally falls into 2 categories, the black magic and the white magic. The black magic is considered to have powers to infuse aversions, to put the evil eye on not desired party, to separate loving people and to provoke altercations. It drives a person to unbearable anguish, draining and depleting him of remaining strength. It's quite the other way round with the white magic, they say. This magic aims at the golden deeds, to prevent a split, to get husband back home, to avert his eyes from other women, etc. Nowadays, the modern bioenergetics is just only beginning to take grasp of the processes that take place in a person under spell. In order to let you understand better, I am going to remind you about very important centers which every one of us possess. I mean the chakras. There are many of them, but the most vital are 7. They are of greatest importance and it is really hard to overestimate their role for a person. It is through them that we receive energy from the outer space and the environment. Using subtle energies which are emitted by these centers, we communicate with each other, on the subconscious level, unaware of that. Each center is tuned up to receiving a definite type of the cosmic energies. Receiving and accumulating them, the center gives a person the special physical, emotional and intellectual qualities. Knowing the pattern of emanation, a specialist can tell a great deal about its holder. In a vast majority of cases, the sorcerers and magicians, irrespective of if they know about that or not, exert influence straight upon the mentioned centers. Have you ever dwelled on the term bewitching, as far as the energy is concerned? A sorcerer shuts down, blocks the victim's chakras from the natural flows of cosmic energy. It is as if he envelopes the bewitched man in a kind of energetic cocoon and forcefully ties up a person with his enamored customer by means of an umbilical cord. Here you go. Get another biological vampire. You can reasonably ask why a bewitched person is a man, not a woman. Because it is the male patterns of PEP that are so susceptible to witchcraft influence. A man cannot withstand the sorcery, unless he knows about that. Women, on the other hand, are much more prone to use the magic themselves, rather than be bewitched. Such is the imperative of nature that they are to attract the stronger sex. Now let's take a look at what happens to a bewitched one. Like electric device plugged into a socket, he is destined to recharge his PEP through the organism of his fated woman. Pull the plug off, and his batteries will soon melt down. Being far off from his beloved one, the man feels exhausted, physically, emotionally, and intellectually. And only beside her he comes to life. Such is indeed the aim of the bewitching, to attach fast the victim. Though seemingly profitable, the trick of bewitching entails some consequences. As you sow, you will mow. Organism of the she-vampire now has to work 2 times harder to produce power for both. Eventually, her living body starts deteriorating, gets old and attracts lots of ailments. The other one is also in a step from tragedy. Somebody might be surprised. Well, he says, it is beside her that the man comes to life. Yes, he revives, but that does not necessarily mean he assuaged his appetite. Why? Because a harmonious union of 2 people implies connection of the lower and the higher astral bodies. But using the magic, one can bank only on the lower bodies being united. You can imagine the split inner state of a man living day in day out with a huge distaste for the woman who picked him up and yet, at the same time, craving for intimacy. Abnormalities of this kind will inadvertently result in lots of suffering and possibly lead to psychic disorders. There is another side to a medal, though. Switched off from higher energies, the bewitched one finds himself unable to grow in a spiritual aspect. Though, the inner demand for spiritual needs remains, he feels it. Thus, appears a feeling of being split, close to what psychiatrists would call schizophrenia. What is more, a man deprived of high-energy feeding line, more often than not, becomes degrading emotionally, intellectually and spiritually, slipping down the road to having only primitive physiological needs. And finally, one more charming trifle. Once being robbed of his power of will, the man can be easily reprogrammed to another woman by means of the same magic. A quite reasonable question may pop up, though: is it possible to join in the marriage the higher bodies using the mentioned magic? Would be nice, but, alas. The upper spiritual domains cannot be influenced by love magic. Sphere of its action is limited, and its power works only at the lower layers of the subtle world, those immediately bordering on our material world. Yonder spheres supply magic with its pep, and there are being born special elements of energy which push a person to admit one or another type of behavior. Nevertheless, magic can cause harm to the higher bodies. Just as it doesn't take pains for an aggressive ignoramus to spill acid on a work of genius and spoil the picture, so the love magic with no trouble is able to disrupt worked-out connections of the higher bodies. It turns out that training and infusing aversion, irrespective of our will, they both are embodiment of the evil. So, either the sorcerers and magicians, who practice love magic, are unaware of what may follow, or they just elementary cheat people making a profit of their trouble. No surrogate obtained with the help of magic can be compared with true love. Summing up all the above, we should state that love magic, like any cheap artificial substitute, is a lot of the poor, the spiritually poor ones. Apart from love itself, the bewitching has another essential issue: children born to people in such a compulsory marriage. Having earthed down a spiritual potential of the partner with magic, a woman dooms herself to having a risk. To physical body of a future baby may be drawn undergrown soul, and such an outcome may be looming over the magic of marriage. When the baby grows up, his complete absence of spiritual wealth combined with practically oriented mind will be a terrible blow for his parents. Then don't judge too severely. So, the alleyway seems blind? Should we cast magic aside? After all, it is not for nothing that nature made everybody and each of us so gifted. We put our talents into use quite often, not giving account of that. However, it never crosses our mind that many of our habits, age-old traditions, and norms of life also have magical sense. What happens, say, when a loving wife wrings out her husband's just-washed clothes? Unwillingly, with her energy and emotions she programs the clothes to contain love, and as long as the outfit is on, the program will be in effect. The same may be said about preparing food. Being fixed with somebody's own hands, such food may either draw closer a person or push him, her away. It may heal and it may kill. Everything depends on our thoughts and emotions in the moment when we prepare food. It should be noted that the information introduced into food acts discriminately. Known are the facts when only one of the guests got poisoned having eaten quite good products. Only he was hated by the hostess. Any female is enchantress. Much more effectively, compared to a man, she is able to change situation in a family. Without any artificial magical stunts. A woman possesses superpower owing to the fourth, heart, chakra, which is usually stronger than in a man. Emanation, radiation of this body center makes a house home, brings warmth to their hearth. A minute the man feels his house lacks this warmth, he is gone. Gone to look for it someplace else. No bewitching or exorcism, like, make him yearning after me, or, still better, make him dote on me, nothing helps. When the hearth is cold, the soul cannot conjure up fire. Someone can reason that a common woman is no match to an experienced enchantress. Surely, she isn't. But she has her own strong sides and advantages. Firstly, it is the time. Constant dropping wears away the stone, they say. Secondly, the natural, matrimonial magic has a mellow effect. Aimed at being beneficial, it is not only safe, but makes a lot of good, for it helps establish and maintain positive relationship within a family, not infringing on anyone's free will.